Hi kids, how are you? Hope everything is good. This is our English lecture video for this week. The objectives that will be covered: students are able to differentiate between healthy and bad habits, recognize and trace the letter I and the sound it makes. Let's start with our circle time. Who can tell me how many days are there in a week? How many days are there in a week? Great job. There are 7 days in a week. 7 days in a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Bravo. Now, who can tell me how many months are there in a year? How many? Excellent. There are 12 months in a year. 12 months in a year. Let's mention them together. January, February, March, and April, May, June, July, and August, September, October, November, December. These are the months of the year. One more time. January, February, March, and April, May, June, July, and August, September, October, November, December. These are the months of the year. Let's talk about the seasons. How many seasons are there in a year? How many? Bravo! There are 4 seasons in a year. 4 seasons in a year. Fall season, winter season, spring season, and summer season. Fall season, winter season, spring season, and summer season. Excellent. Now let's move on to our English lecture, which is about the healthy and the bad habits. Look at the pictures. These pictures show healthy habits, and these pictures show bad habits. Let's start with the healthy habits. Look at this picture. This girl is taking shower. So we have to take a bath or shower once a day and wash our hair with shampoo. Look at this picture. The girl washing her hands. Always, always, always wash your hands with soap and water before eating, after playing outside, after going to the bathroom, and of course, after sneezing. After what? Sneezing. Look at this picture. The girl brushing her teeth. We have to brush our teeth twice a day after breakfast and before going to bed, right? So how many times we have to brush our teeth? Twice a day. Twice a day after breakfast and before going to sleep. Look at this picture. The girl here eating what? Healthy food and drinking milk. So we have to eat a lot of healthy food like vegetables and fruits. And also we have to drink milk to keep ourselves healthy food like vegetables and fruits. And also we have to drink milk to keep ourselves healthy and strong, and healthy food help us grow up fast and become bigger. Look at these pictures that show bad habits. Look at this girl. She is eating a lot of sweets. We can't eat a lot of sweets. When we eat them, we will hurt our teeth and then we will go to the doctor. So we can eat a lot. We can eat sweets, but not a lot. We have to eat only small quantities and not every day, maybe once a week, okay? Look at this picture. The man and the woman are throwing rubbish. Uh-oh. Throwing rubbish on the street. This is impolite, right? Also, when we throw rubbish on the street, it will become dirty and it will have a bad smell. Look at this boy, he's dirty, and that's not good at all, right? We have to keep ourselves clean when we go out or when we eat or when we play. We must keep ourselves clean. Look at this boy, he's pushing the girl. We should not hit our friends. We should play with them, respect them, have fun with them. We can't hit them, right? This is impolite act, right? Okay, so look at these pictures and look at these pictures. These are the healthy habits, and these are the bad habits.
Let's solve this activity together. We have to circle the healthy habits and cross out the bad habits. Look here. The girl is throwing the rubbish in the rubbish bin, so it's a healthy habit. I have to circle it. Look here. The girl is eating a lot of fast food. It's not healthy at all. Look here. The boy is playing with a ball. Yes, it's a healthy habit. I have to circle it. Look here. The girl is shouting on her friend. Oh, it's a bad habit. And look here how the girl is sitting and watching the television. It's a bad habit. I have to cross it out. Here the boy is sleepy because he has tomorrow a school and he have to sleep early. So it's a good habit. So I can circle it. Look here, the girl is throwing the rubbish on the ground. Uh-oh. And here the boy is brushing his teeth. So, of course, it's a good habit. Let's move on to the phonics. Which letter is this? This is the letter I that makes the sound E. Letter I sounds E, E, E. Say hi to the letter I. Hi, letter I. Hi, letter I. Let's listen to the letter I song first.
Pinky the mouse is my pet. She spilled the ink and got wet. The ink is spread all over the desk. Inky's wet. Pinky the mouse is my pet. She spilled the ink and got wet. The ink is spread all over the desk. Inky's wet.
And now, here are some objects that begin with the sound E. E, 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 E. Insect, igloo, iguana, infant. I'm gonna repeat. I is for ink. E, E, ink. Repeat after me. Ink. I is for insect. E, E, insect. I is for igloo. E, E, igloo. I is for iguana. E, E, iguana. I is for infant. E, E, infant. Great job. Let us listen to this song together.
Can you make the letter sounds? We can show you how. What letter shall we learn? Let's find out now. Let's learn about the letter I. This is a capital I. This is a lowercase I. You know how the I looks now. Let's make the letter I sound. E, 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 E. is for the internet. I is for ink. I is for injury. I is for imagination. You know some I words now. Let's make the letter I sound. E, 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 E. Your turn. E, 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 E. I.
This is our lecture for today. Thank you and hope you like it. See you soon, my little angels. Love you. Bye.